What's up, everybody? Hunter here, and I'm joined today with Justin Taylor, who is the head of consumer product marketing at Twitter. He was previously with Nike and Activision. He's a fellow Bored Ape Yacht Club member. And I said before, this is the second time recording it, but he's a dope guy, like a super dope dude.
Thank you.
I had a little issue with the intro there, but I love him. And I never thought I'd be recording with him just because, he is he's like up there, like high regards
Oh,
for
stop
you.
it. Stop it.
And the last time we're recording this because the recording stopped like 5 minutes into it. But I was telling him like the last time we saw each other was in Venice, California, at the Bright Moments Gallery. We hung out for a while. I think we got drinks afterwards with
Did,
Disco
yeah.
and G Funk actually.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and we were just talking about some regrets on selling our crypto Venetians, and how from that last time I saw him, I sold my Meebit for 7 ETH, watched it go for 14 ETH, bought a Twin Flame for 8 ETH with Tropo Farmer, and now have a Twin Flame that's worth 120 ETH.
I mean, that's the thing. Like you made a lot of small errors, but you made some big things right. And that's how I got to look at it. Like,
right.
I bought for Bored Ape. I bought a Bored Ape at 3, and then I bought another one at 7.5, and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm gonna regret this. And now they're at 15 or whatever it is each. So you make some mistakes, but as long as you're up overall, what can you say?
I don't even think like worrying about being like up overall, as long as you're not like, hey, I lost it all in Super Yetis, or like, send all my ETH to the burn address. Like, I think as long as you're actively engaging and like on the up learning and moving to a direction where you can be profitable, or at least you're like collecting stuff you really enjoy and makes you happy, it's all positive.
Yeah, I mean, I lost a lot on Top Shot when I first started, and I remember my fiance being like, are you going to be okay with all this money you're losing and the time you're spending? And I said, yeah, because I'm learning. And I knew like learning early on when I got into the space, like in the end, it was going to pay off. And it's been great. And for nothing else, I just love the community. I love the culture. Like I've met a lot of interesting people. I feel like I'm like part of something really early. From working at Nike, we always talk about like sneakers and like the early street culture. And you look at, there's this guy named Babito who was like a DJ in the 80s on the basketball courts in New York. And I talked to him, and he's talking about what streetwear was like when it first started and being there. And I feel like I'm there with this. Like I feel like the people I talk to on Twitter or it's like we're really early in something.
And you're in the moment of being early and things building around you. Like every morning you wake up, I'm sure you look at Twitter and you're like, whoa, like it's different than 12 hours ago.
Yeah, or like I just like get lost in thought thinking of like fractionalization, like what that could be, like DAOs, what they could be like in the future. And there was a meeting, again, I'll mention Nike, where we talked about technology, and they talked about like technology can be really early and everyone can kind of know where it's going to go, but you have to do every step on the way to get there. And it's all about iteration. Like sure, where DAOs are now might not be where it gets to one day, but the iteration and the small progression that people make with the technology, with organizations, is so important to help us get to where we're going to go. And I just feel like we're on that path right now to get to the end state. And that's super innovative and exciting. And every person I feel in the space is just pushing it in a little direction that's really interesting and exciting, contributing in real time. And that's really exciting to feel like you're a part of as a collector, as someone in a community, someone coming up with technology, whatever it might be.
What are you most excited for right now and for like the future?
That's a good question. I think from a marketing standpoint, I'm really interested in IP and where the IP of these things are going to go. I'm really interested in how DAOs become a replacement for real world tech.
Are you in any DAOs right now?
No, like zero. And it's interesting because like, sure, like DAOs around like Bored Ape I guess I'm in the Pixel Vault one, the Founders Vault. But other than that, no. But like, I think it's because I haven't found that's interesting to me. Like, I'm much more interested in a DAO with like 10 other people that were all like, we're all going to put 10 ETH in this together, and we're all just going to become an investment team together and a marketing team together. Like, that's much more interesting to me than like, great, I'm part of a DAO for a project.
Right.
I'm more interested in like, great, 5 people coming together and being like, branding ourselves and being like, this is 100%. Who we are. I think that's super exciting.
And that's going to happen way more, because I actually had that exact thing happen to me where through 2 text messages, it was like, hey, there's 15 of us. We all want to buy
Axie?
X. What?
Was it Axie?
Yeah. I don't think
I got the same phone call.
Yeah. I won't go too far into that. I don't think that's all completely out there, but that conversation happened. And we watched, 15 people go, oh yeah, I'm in, I'll join. And, I think those type of DAOs are going to be way more popular. Especially like Discords, like a Discord community is like, hey, we're going to start a DAO and it's like a personal community. Like, hey, we've been following, doing this. Let's all throw 1 ETH in and buy X or whatnot.
Yeah. So like, I advise it like, or like regular companies, or invest in like regular companies, right? And the reason that I'm brought into that isn't because I bring money, which I guess I do, but I also bring like my expertise in marketing, social media, whatever it is. And right now, most of the DAOs are just dependent on you bring money, you bring an NFT, and that's your contribution. Everyone has the exact same contribution at the end. Whereas like, to me, DAOs are interesting. It's like, great, I can bring like my marketing experience. Somebody else can bring their, tech experience. Somebody else can bring their creative experience, and then we're all in a DAO together. Like, that to me is really interesting, because it's, we're worth more than just the money we put in, and what we can do as a DAO is different then, right? So yeah, that's really exciting to me too. In general, I'm really excited about like waking up in the morning and seeing something I never thought of before. That's what really gets me excited too.
Right.
And gaming, I do think gaming is going to like blow up in the next couple of months for sure.
So we're going to have to talk about it, because you already mentioned Pixel Vault. Gaming is coming to Pixel Vault. You're involved with Pixel Vault as an official, I guess like part of like the like, I don't know what is like your official title.
Like unofficially, I would say more. Just like G-Funk and I kind of talk a lot.
Right.
So I wouldn't call it official, just more like, look, I have a gaming background. I worked at Activision for 4 years. I have a lot of experience in Warzone or multiplayer games. So, I have thoughts on like monetization, users, marketing, stuff like that. So, I can't really say anything about what they're working on there, but, in general, I think, there's 2 paths that the gaming is going. One's going play to earn, which is interesting, like the Axie model, I guess. But, you have to think about the users and stuff you're interested in. Games traditionally survive based on people feeling a sense of achievement. And yes, money can be a way for you to feel a sense of achievement, but earnings in other ways can be really a sense of achievement. And, I think we talk a lot about gaming and NFTs being, you get an NFT and you take it into a world. I'm really interested in earning NFTs in a game and taking it out of the world. Like, that's great. You play Fortnite, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, I could have my Bored Ape in Fortnite. But I'm thinking like, well, actually you play Fortnite, you earn a skin, you develop a character, it gets a certain amount of wins, so it has a certain helmet no one else can have. And then you can export that as an NFT and take that other places with you. You can sell that outside of the game. You can, right? Like right now you can go on and you can buy any NFT you want. You want a CryptoPunk, you can buy one. But the idea of like earning an NFT with your blood, sweat, and tears, and then being able to export that as an NFT, and the only way to earn it was by doing something in game. To me, that's
but
really
then you can go sell that to somebody potentially.
Yeah, cool. If you get 100 wins in Fortnite and you can and that it gives you a special skin that you can then turn into an NFT, and that's the only way you can get it, then like you're transferring your hard work into a video game into money. You can sell it, right? Because somebody's going to want to be that in game. And Counter-Strike, CSGO had that a little bit with like weapon skins and stuff, and it blew up. And I think that's a really interesting place to go. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because I've been thinking of this, like, what if you could have your Bored Ape Yacht Club in Fortnite? And that was kind of like my primary, I guess, way of thinking of, when all these things become things you can take into other games, that's when it blows up. And I guess less of a what happens when you can take Fortnite out and take it and sell it on OpenSea. What do you think about like cross platform? Like, hey, I can take this Fortnite hat and wear it in or skin and put it into Call of Duty. Like, do you think we're ever going to see that? Or is that like,
Yeah.
walls and barriers will be set up and we won't have a real metaverse?
Yeah, well, so think about, like, for one, if the Bored Ape example, like, if you're Epic Games, why would you ever do that? There's no interest in that. And the other is, like, you want to build games that are accessible for the most amount of people possible. So you don't want 10,000 people to be able to take a Bored Ape into a game. You want hundreds of thousands of people to be able to make a Bored Ape, right? Because you want everyone to be able to play. So that's why I worry about everyone thinking you're going to go into a game. Sure, maybe in a really far off state where you're in a massive universe and everyone can just be whatever they want to be. But even then, there has to be some standardization of characters. I do think we'll get to a state where it's cross game, cross platform, but it's all going to be through Unreal Engine, probably, right? Everyone needs to be building in the same engine to make things really transferable. Sorry, one second. So you need to build the game so you can transfer stuff. So using like Unreal Engine as an example, like every single game is built in the same place so things can transfer. So like Among Us and Fortnite and things like that. So, and it's open source right now. So I think we'll get there, but it's going to end up being probably somebody owning it to a degree.
Gotcha.
And it's probably going to end up being Epic, I would guess, for now.
It does seem like Tim Sweeney has the right mindset, as well as, I would say the infrastructure to build it out.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've been working on it for like 10 years at this point.
Oh, really? Like, that long?
It's great. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, you think about Fortnite is basically a test. Somebody asked him, is Fortnite a game? And his answer was, for now. So you can tell he's thinking about this.
I mean, I listened to one of his interviews. Like, he's really thinking like a true metaverse. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, totally. Maybe you should touch on this, because I know this is a question I got from like 8 people. Like, is there a real metaverse right now?
No, not even close. Like,
and maybe explain why, because like there's so many people claiming that they have a metaverse. It's probably the most overused, like, I don't know, gotcha word in any project.
I know everyone gets angry at me for saying there isn't one, and I feel like I'm like the staunch defender of it. But a multiverse is multiple universes, right? Like, it's a plethora of different universes that you can enter and exit. So like any game right now where you can go in and out of people's houses or talk to people in real time, like The Sims or Minecraft or whatever it is, like, it's all built in one universe that you're traversing. And so it's not there yet. It's not close to being there yet. And so any 5 developers that say they built a multiverse in a year is just not true. But we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. And I think all the projects people are doing are awesome, and it's pushing things forward, like I said earlier, into new places, but we're not there yet. And the processing power and everything that's going to help us get there, we just aren't there. I mean, you look at the Fortnite events, right? Like the Travis Scott concert, those are all for them. When we talked about it at Activision, we're like, these are all just cool. They're cool events, but they're dev tests. Like, they're people testing to see how many people you can get into an experience at one time, how much computing power you can use to run a async, a platform with everyone at the same time. So no, I mean, it's a marketing term right now. I mean, it's like a lot of things, and it's cool. Like, the stuff is cool, but it's just not there yet. But we'll get there.
I do agree. It's going to take some time before we really see something that is like even like a big step closer to what a real metaverse will look like.
But it's cool. Like, I go into this poker event for Bored Ape Club, and I'm playing poker in real time with people in the club, and we have this space they've built. It's really cool.
The Riverside event.
Yeah. And virtual space is like really exciting, and I'm super bullish on it in general too. But we're like I said, we're in an iteration state right now. We'll get somewhere much more interesting. What are you excited about right now?
What am I excited about? Well, that's a good question. I think I've said it a couple times. I think today and yesterday, like the fractionalization of NFTs is so early. And I know it's been around, but like we start to look at what it costs to buy a punk, what it costs to own a Fidenza, what it costs to own, a glyph, like that is slowly going to become, or very quickly actually become inaccessible to the average person. But I've already seen it happen where like saying you own, hey, I own like 1% of a Fidenza is still like oh shit, like you own 1% of a Fidenza. That's kind of cool. And it still gets you that like social currency. People still recognize that it's ownership of a asset. And I just see it blowing up as we see prices and valuation stuff continue to blow up. So I'm bullish on fractional stuff.
I think right now fractionalizations are about great. Now 1,000 people own, whatever percent of a CryptoPunk, and it's seen as an NFT alone that you own a percentage of, which still to me is like 1.0 of thinking about it, where eventually it'll be like I own part of like right now you own part of a sports team, it's like 1% of the Lakers. Like I think owning part of an NFT will mean more than just owning part of the NFT. It'll mean owning part. Like there's no reason why a DAO can't be singularly one NFT that 1,000 people own, and owning part of it.
100%. Yes. Right. So that's that next kind of level to thinking about fractionalization is why I get so excited. And why I'm so like bullish, like, and I don't want to like make you talk about it if there's things you can't talk about, but with Pixel Vault and what they're doing, like I just see that the fractionalization of the punks, the ownership in the DAO being like having a stake, getting rewards from it, being part of something as it grows, access to certain things, access to communities, that kind of thinking is really progressive in my mind, and where I see the entire fractional industry going over the next 2-3 years.
Well, I think like I tell people that come in new to buy platforms, not projects. And the reason I bought a Bored Ape when I did was because I realized this is no longer a project. It's a platform that's going to be around for a really long time. Like Roadmap 2.0 is coming out soon. They're doing the mutants hopefully any day now. Same, I bought a cool cat because I was like, okay, this is a project that's turned into just like a bigger platform. And with Pixel Vault, like it's not a project, like it's gamification, it's a platform, it's multiple projects that you're buying into at once, like you're buying into a company, right?
Really? Exactly.
So that's what makes it interesting to me. And I think that's where NFTs will go next, is you'll be less and less buying one-off projects, and you'll be buying into companies that are going to have 10 projects to give you, or whatever it may be, because like you can only buy so many profile photos, like
exactly,
before it gets old. And what they represent is going to be interesting. That's why I think like Bored Ape needs to get more than 10,000 people in. Cool Cats, like, to be successful long term.
It's been speculated that Meebits is not just 20,000. Like there's more on the way. And if you read the actual wording of their legal documents, it says for the original 20,000. So there's kind of references in there. And you even said earlier, like, why would a game only want 10,000 people to be able to bring in their assets in? It kind of like makes me think like 10,000 at the end of the day is such a small number.
Totally. Yeah.
It's minuscule.
Yeah. Why would I use Bored Ape as an example, but like, I don't want to buy somebody else's Bored Apes merch. Like I want my own Apes merch. Right. And you got 10,000 people. I mean, ideally you're at 5,000 something right now. 5,000 people, they're all buying their own person's merch. And if they're not in, they're just like, I don't want to buy a Bored Ape merch because I can't get a piece of it. But if you can get to 30, 40, 50,000 at some point, in the future, then you get to a mass point where everyone can start owning. It's like Zed horses, right? Like there's an infinite amount eventually, and everyone can take part and be a part of it. And then you can actually scale to a massive size to get enough people in. And once you do, like eventually all the creativity from the 5,000 to 10,000 people that are in a project will burn out. Like I made a sweater, I made shorts, it's cool, I like it. People are going to make commercials and video, but they'll burn out. They'll burn out. And so you need fresh blood in, and especially if you want to reach mass cultural scale.
That's so true. Do you think do you think that it's a risk to Bored Ape Yacht Club and Punks and these other like profile projects? And I mean, you kind of did touch on it being kind of a risk, but how do you combat that? Because immediately, if you were to add more supply, you can hurt your original, your original holder's value. I don't know if there's really an easy way around it, or at least one that you can answer like off the fly. I don't think.
Well, I don't want to use Bored Ape because it's just like it's just one of the many examples. So Wicked Craniums or something is another example. Like, I just think long term you need more people in, and I think yes, you'll take a hit in the short term on yours being worth as much, but like if you're looking really long term, having a genesis whatever of a project that's going to be around in 2-3 years. CryptoPunks now are just stores of value, right? And I think a lot of NFTs will go that way. They're stores of value that have historical relevance. But I don't know, like, do you think, I don't want to use any X project that's just did a 10,000 in a roadmap is going to be here in 3 years, 4 years at the same scale it is now without evolving? It's hard to see that.
I don't think I think anybody who's stagnant in this space is, they're fish bait. Like it's going to be at the bottom of the ocean sitting down there. Like you have to constantly be providing value back to your holders. You have to be constantly innovating. And I mean, that's what I look for when I'm about to buy a project. If I don't see that innovation, that change, that evolving, like thought process, I'm not a buyer. And that's why like what I'm buying is like stuff I can go to bed at night and be like, all right, like even if the market collapses 5 years from now, I know they're still kicking, still trying to evolve, approve. And, they're not just going to be like, oh, like we got our money, peace, like, thanks.
So I've had my approach is I only buy things that I think look cool. And that's like screwed me over more times than I can imagine. Like, I was like, if I don't think it looks cool, I won't buy it. And then it's like so many projects where I'm like, I don't think this looks cool, do like incredibly well.
But it's interesting because like, so here's the other like kind of like strategy I've used. I've gone to people, explained NFTs to them. They go, okay, I kind of get it. And then I shove a computer in front of them and I say, go on OpenSea, find whatever you want to buy and let me know what it is. Don't worry about pricing. Just go find what you would like what you would buy. And it's wild to see what they like, where a newcomer goes. And like, I don't care. Like, I'm like, don't buy that. They're like, but I want to buy it. And they're like, I want to buy a pudgy penguin. I'm like, well, 3 ETH for a pudgy penguin right now doesn't make sense. And they look at me and like, but it's so cute. I love it. Like I want this. And I can see the children show out of it. I'm like, and that's kind of where people gravitate to when they're new to the space is this is what I like. So like, what if there is a large onboarding of newcomers over the next 6 months? Where are they going to go? This is what I think is cool. What looks good. I want to own. It makes me happy. That's potentially where the money can go.
Yeah. Cause like, I need to buy stuff where I can stare at it all day and think it's still cool.
Did you get a hearse? Cause the last time we talked was before the hearse stuff. Yeah. And you were telling me that what would make you the happiest man in the world is to have a physical hearse in your kitchen. So every day when you're having coffee, you could look at it and be like, damn, I own that.
Yeah. I have one and now I'm like definitely changing my tune a little bit about it.
Wait, what is your tune?
Well, I mean, I was like, yes, I'm getting it. I'm getting the physical. I'm putting it in my house, like the end. Like, and now I'm like, well, it's what, 11 ETH, 10, 11 ETH.
No, it's down to 7.5 right now.
Oh, it is. Well, damn, I should have sold it.
Yeah, you should have sold it.
It'll go back up probably.
It will go back up for sure.
And I was like, oh man, well, it's like 10 ETH now. Like I could use that into other projects potentially. I'm still trying to flip my way up maybe to a punk, so I'm like, I sell that, I sell some other stuff, maybe I just get a punk. So now I'm not so sure. Now I don't know what I do. Everyone's gonna keep the NFT, I think, still though. Like I would imagine 70+% keep the NFT.
I think the market is very thin on them. I think we're a double-digit floor as we enter to the burn period, and then after burn period, there are under 1,000 for sale, or I would say there's under 300 for sale.
Yeah, so I don't know what I do on it. I don't know. I like it. I mean, it's also hard because it's such a market where like the rarity and stuff just doesn't matter really. I guess
It
people have
doesn't.
decided that one
They're
word
it's a
titles
commodity.
matter. To me,
Besides
which
like
is
the
like,
naming for a few of them, it's a commodity. They're all the same.
yeah, who cares about the naming to me? I'm like, what does that have to do with it? But
Well,
that's what people like. I got one. Mine has the 44th least amount of overlap on dots, and so I got it, and I was like, jackpot! Like that seems like an amazing rarity. Like nothing overlaps each other, and I was like, great, this is gonna be one of the most expensive ones. And I was like, yeah, actually, nobody cares. Nobody
well, and
cares
that's the
about
thing though. Like we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and people are like, rarity does not equal value. Like people are looking at art blocks and being like, this is the third most rare. Like, I'll just use like flowers. They're like, this is the most like the third most rare flower, so it should be the rare, like the most valued. And people are like, that
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
shit. Like, like I don't
Well,
want
look at
that.
I haven't looked at my Top Shot stuff in like 3 months because I'm just like disgusted with myself a little bit.
Oh
And I
god.
went and looked, and I was like, oh, I have like a serial, I have serial number 20, some LeBron, and I was going to sell it, and I was just like, how stupid is it that we all think low serial numbers like matter?
It will in
Like,
low cereal doesn't matter either. I thought it did.
no,
Unfortunately, with chubbies, I was like, oh, I'll get a low cereal chubby. And that was a
who
double
cares?
strike and miss on that project. But we've seen it across the board. Like, unless like the low cereal signifies something, like with punks, like a very low cereal can signify that it's a dev punk. It doesn't matter. Like it's just another number,
No.
means
Would
nothing.
you care if like you buy a pair of Jordans and it was the 50th pair of Jordans made, or the 500th or 550,000th
No,
ones made?
no.
No, you don't care. So just looking at it now and thinking like, man, I was trying to buy low serial numbers because Dapper told me low serial numbers mattered, feels really old school thinking or something like that.
Right.
Or people buy the NFT number 420 for 420 ETH or whatever.
Yeah, we've seen it
Like,
with
I
like
just don't care.
number 88, number 888, and
Yeah, yeah.
besides that, I don't think numbers really matter. The serial number.
No.
I, I think the one thing that does matter though is the like maybe if there's a series, like owning the first series could have additional value.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think I'm trying to use one like so rare Pepe's like series one card one has more value than series two card one, and I think most of it, series one also has just across the board because it's like the Genesis series.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me, I think. But yeah, there's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
think
of different valuation tactics that are being used right now that just don't make sense. And I think in the long term, people look back and be like, why did I spend 4 ETH extra on like
yeah.
number 25 when it's the same exact
I
thing
saw it
as number
yesterday.
1000?
I saw it yesterday, and is it 0N1 Forest or ON1 Forest? I can't even remember what is exactly. The like the anime NFT project that came out
Oh
today.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I have to look at but yeah, I know what you're talking
Someone
about.
bought someone bought Leet like 1337 for 1.337 ETH, and then like the floor is like 0.5. And I'm just like, why are you just throwing money away like that?
But then again, there are some people who are just going to buy what they want because they're like, I want it. Like also
money.
1.337 ETH to some people is like a penny. They just have so much, and they're like, a guy who's been around since 2012 to 2013, and 1 ETH is a thousandth of his bankroll.
So let me ask you. My cousin texts me and he goes, I want to get into crypto space, NFT space. He's like, I've been looking around, I've been looking at stuff. I gave him my second 8 to use as his profile photo, which he was super excited about. So he's like immediately like, I got some more followers. He's like, I have 3 ETH to spend. What do I buy? That was what he asked me today.
Okay.
He's like, what projects do I buy into? Like, what do I get? I want to like be in the space. What do I do? So what's your
so what would I do right now? Right now, if I had 3 ETH, I would look at crypto.
You have nothing.
What'd you say?
And you have nothing. Like you don't own anything.
I own nothing. It would be I would look at Crypto Kongs. I would look at Punk's Comic, Cool Cats. I'm trying to think what
CryptoKongz,
else.
like, are they making a comeback? I haven't looked at that in a while. Or
At what?
CyberKongz. Wait, CryptoKongz is it or CyberKongz?
CyberKongs. Or no, wait,
They've been
wait, wait,
around.
wait. Which one is it? I want to make sure I say the correct one.
Yeah. The
CyberKongs.
one
I'm
that's been
sorry.
around. Is that the one that's been around for a long time, or is that a new one?
No, I think it's been around for a while. Like CyberKongs, so it's CyberKongs. I want to clarify that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, so they introduced, it looks like kind of a way to stake them almost, and you can generate banana, which is like their token, and the banana has intrinsic value. So essentially it's a cash flowing asset. That's what makes it interesting. I've also seen like this morning on the morning mint, like I'm rolling through the activity of who's buying, and it's like people like Psyduck, he buying, and a bunch of
Hmm.
other notable names like picking like up three or four of them, and I'm like, okay, like these are very smart people. I think it kind of passes the sniff test on whether or not
Hmm.
it's legit or not. But yeah, like
Interesting.
the Cyber Kongs,
Okay.
Cool Cats. What else? There's like, I mean, there's so many projects, which makes it hard. If they, I don't know if I buy a Meadow Hero right now. It's kind of, I mean, that's expensive, especially if you only have 3 ETH to put into that. It's a little bit of a
Yeah, because I'm
dice
like,
roll.
well, because look, even CyberKongz, they're like 1.6 floor. So I'm like, well, maybe I should find like three things at 0.5. Like I like the ON101 N1 Force thing that just
Yeah,
came
the
out.
0 N1 Force. What else? I'm looking through. I mean, he could potentially pick up a Meebit. Like the floor's at 2.77 if he wants to have like something from Larva Labs. I'm
So I
trying
think
to.
like you need to get people on a bunch of different things to learn the culture, learn the
Yeah, and that's
community.
what the conversation's been with a lot of the newbies for me is like, okay, you have like one guy had 7 ETH, and I was like, that's great, but like it's hard at this point because a lot of the very, very like blue chip projects that you could buy again like 4 months ago are 10 to 40x like what they used to be.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
And
like I get phone calls. I got a phone call from a big video game streamer a couple days ago, and he's like, "I want to buy a board ape." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "How do I do it?" And I go, "All right, like here's the OpenSea, like join the Discord, like which one am I looking for?" I'm like, "Look, I wouldn't really pay attention to rarity. I would just buy something that looks like you, or you feel like people want as your profile, whatever." And he's like, "Okay." And then there's this happened multiple times. Happened with a YouTuber as well. It's like it goes silent for like an hour, and then they go, "Oh shit, these are pretty expensive."
oh yeah, no,
And
no,
I'm like,
no.
"Oh yeah, these are expensive." And then the next question is always, "All right, so are these going to go up in value or no?"
Yeah,
Like, it's such a hard question to answer for
it's a
somebody.
hard question from like, and I get concerned when I talk to new people, especially their friends or like family friends, or they're friends of my friends. I don't want to like tell them, hey, you should buy this, and it's 40
Yeah.
grand, and then they're like in 6 months they're like, hey, it's worth 20, you lost me 20 grand. But like I do look at Bored Ape Yacht Club and I'm like, just buy it, close your eyes, wake up in a year, and then like we'll go from there. I think you'll be happy. um
Mm,
but I mean, that's a big pill to swallow as your first purchase, like especially
I
into like
yeah,
I thought I was insane when I got into NFTs, and I spent 0.75 when ETH was at 4,000 on a Mooncat.
mm. Oh,
And
you
like,
did. I don't even want to know how much those are because I sold all of my
yeah,
mooncats.
they're not that crazy. I think they ran up to one again. They're like at 0.4 maybe. I don't know. I have to
Oh,
look.
okay.
Um,
Yeah. Isn't that terrible that I like don't want it to do well, so I don't feel terrible about
no, but like
selling all of
even
mine?
so, like when I was sitting there, I was like, holy shit, I'm about to spend, like $2,000 or whatever it was. Like I'm about to spend a shit ton of money on a digital cat that doesn't move. It's just, pixelated, and like that's scary. Imagine somebody in that same scenario being like, okay, I'm about to spend 45 grand on a monkey.
Yeah, dude, I minted 3 mooncats,
Oh,
and
you minted
I
them.
so that was actually my first thing outside of Top Shot is I minted 3 mooncats. Shout out Justin, who I think I just put him on.
Justin Trimble.
Yeah, I put him on push notifications on my phone, and I think no, it was either him or the other guy that has the purple hat,
Dave.
CryptoPunk. Yeah, and I just like was in bed and I like sprinted out of bed to my computer and like minted 3, and I was like, I can't believe I spent this much money on it. And then I told my fiance, I was like, I have 3 digital cats and they're worth $3,000 each. And she's like, what are you talking? Who are you? What are you talking about? So yeah, that was terrifying to me too then. And I've spent 7.5 ETH. I got a big bonus, and I was for my previous job, and I was like, I'm gonna buy another CryptoPunk or Bored Ape, and I spent 7.5. The floor went down to like 4, if you remember, 4.5.
Yep, I remember that.
I was like, I just lost like 7, like I lost 7 grand like that or whatever it is. So it's terrifying. I mean, getting into crypto is a good way in NFT just because you see the market never closes and it's a constant like roller coaster.
Yep.
So it kind of prepares you for this, but I think it's a problem. Like the accessibility of the NFT space is a problem. Like as someone that builds community and thinks about it a lot, it's like you're brand new, you have $100 in your pocket to spend, you want to be a part of something cool. How do you do that? Like there needs to be projects that are just like, they're only 100, $200. There's maybe an infinite supply, but the community's cool. Like you need that in the space.
We do. And I think, and that's what I tell most people when I tell them, hey, here's what NFTs are. And their response is, what should I buy? I tell them a notebook. And they go, and I tell them buy a notebook. And they go like, okay, smart ass. Like, what the hell is that supposed to be? I'm like, you need to study. You need to like not go and have your first reaction be, I want to own something. And it should be, okay, I'm going to take a week, 2 weeks or whatever, and just watch Twitter, watch Discord, watch OpenSea, understand what's happening here. Because if you just listen to me and you go buy something, you have zero conviction for that. You're like just praying and holding on and saying, oh, Hunter, I hope you're right. Like it's not the same. And like maybe for people who are like, I don't care about the money. It's a lost cause. If it, it goes to zero, whatever. If you're going to just be like, tell me what to buy, I'll buy it, kick back. And if I make money, great. Go do that. But I think for most people, like 99% of the people, it should be, okay, I like NFTs. I want to get into them. Let me study them, learn, see what's working, what's not working, like who's talking about stuff, and then go from there. Oh no, I think we lost you, Justin. Not hearing you. Oh no, Justin got rugged by his headphones. He's back. There he is.
Back, don't worry.
So I thought we were on a Twitter Spaces for a second there.
No,
I'm sorry. I had to hit you with that.
Dude, it's cool. Look, man. Look, we can talk about Twitter if you want for a minute.
So we have to. I'm gonna get crucified by people if I don't bring this up.
Sure.
Twitter Spaces has demolished Clubhouse. Like, there's no reason to use Clubhouse anymore. And it's proven time and time again that Twitter Spaces is the future of audio, is the future of Twitter. I'm like the most bullish person on Twitter Spaces, the most bullish person on Twitter that it probably comes to. And Deez and Farouk are as well. Like the three of us together will like chat and we're like, fucking love this shit. Like, this is amazing. I mean, walk me through, I guess, like your thesis for Spaces, where you see it going. How is it going to be implemented potentially in the future of Twitter? And then any kind of thoughts you have on it.
So first off, I don't think of it as the future of Twitter Spaces. That's not how I start thinking about it. I think about the future of communities for Twitter. And I think about narrowcasting, and I think about communities. And I start there. Like the reason I came to Twitter is I saw Kayvon, who was the head of product, speaking about communities, which is coming out, super follows, Spaces. And I was like, there's this ecosystem for people that we're building that's super exciting. And you think about like creators, right? If you're a creator and you want to make money right now, like what do? You're great on video on YouTube or Twitch, or you're holding up products on Instagram. And that's how you monetize right now. And seeing the types of people that are on Twitter, like you as an example, right? Like now you have the opportunity to go do a Twitter space. If you wanted to, you can add a tip jar to make money. You can do a ticketed space, so you can have a private event to raise money. Today we announced that Review, which is our email
I saw that, yes,
integrates into your profile. So you can get people subscribed to your newsletter from your profile, and you're gonna be able to monetize that. Like you're gonna be able to charge people like you do Substack, right? And then we have super follows coming out, which is basically like a Patreon competitor, where you're going to be able to super follow somebody for a fixed price, and they're going to be able to give you direct content. And then we have communities coming out. What you think about is, you have it. You could have a Bored Ape Yacht Club community, or a Meebit community, and it's where everyone can organize on Twitter to talk specifically about a topic. And when I think of all that together, I'm like, this is what I want. I want you to be able to get more followers and audience with spaces, and then form a community around yourself and start a super following, do an email newsletter, everything on one place on Twitter. So like, I don't really think of it as like us versus Clubhouse, because I'm not thinking of it singularly as one product versus one product. Like, I'm thinking about it holistically
It's
as
an
an
ecosystem at the end of the day, is what you guys are
Yes.
building.
Yeah, I'm thinking beyond just the tweet, right? I'm thinking beyond just your Twitter feed into how there's way more ways for you to communicate, organize with people you like, around topics you like. So the NFT community is doing great on Spaces right now. I can't wait to see what happens when Communities comes out. I can't wait to see what Super Follows comes out, and what opportunities that gives people to monetize themselves, organize themselves. So it's great. And look, for Twitter Spaces, look, we're adding Twitter's approach to new products is about developing in real time in public, right? Like, bring out spaces, and then we bring out co-hosting, we bring out being able to mute everybody, we bring out being able to schedule spaces. Like, we got voice modulation the other day. We're constantly bringing out new features and products, and adding and iterating. And I know sometimes that means like we don't have things in the product yet that people would love, but it also means like we're listening and we're constantly changing what we're doing.
Right.
And that's our approach on everything, and it'll be our approach with other products that come in the future. And we love people being able to give us feedback in real time. Like, my feelings are not hurt if someone's like, this isn't working, or what's the problem with this. I can't always comment publicly on everything.
Right.
But,
I mean, so me being a user of it, I'm totally empathetic to understanding that you guys are developing and innovating in real time. And it's not like you guys are like, oh, we're going to like work for 6 months and then put it out when it's perfectly polished and see what you think. We're going to just put it out and say, okay, what's the reaction? What do we need to change? And then go back to the drawing board and keep iterating. I mean, do you have any comment for the people who are like just absolutely pissed off about getting rugged? Like, is it just kind of like, hey, that's what comes with the territory of innovation, or
no?
or what?
I mean, look, we're trying to make it better every day. I mean, I think maybe you've seen like we've added for some users telling us if the space room you're in was a good or bad experience.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you've seen that, so we can go back in and see actually what happened, so we can work to fix it. So yeah, I mean, we're working on making the platform every day. Everyone's feel free to tweet at me and complain if you want, but we're working every day. Trust me, every day in every meeting, we're thinking about the consumer and how we can make a better experience for them.
What are you most excited for with Twitter as an overall right now? Is there like a specific product? Like, is Spaces your most like exciting product that you're like working on the day to day? Or Spaces? I'm not sure what I said there.
Yeah, what I can say. I'm really excited about like super follows that'll be coming out. I'm excited about a lot, I would say. Yeah, I'd say that like super follows is gonna be really cool. I think people are really gonna like it. I mean, I can't say more than that, but I don't think I can. But and then just the ecosystem. Like, I love seeing, like, if I talk to Farouk or whoever it is, like how fast people are going there. Like, if someone like you tells me hey, I signed up for review and I have a newsletter now on my profile, like that makes me super excited.
Right.
So
I mean, Twitter's changed my life. Like, I think Twitter, when it like comes down to like technologies that I have like a love and passion for, and I will like defend till the end of time, like it's Twitter is number one. It really has changed my life.
I mean, look, I use everything too. Like, I use YouTube all the time. Like, I'm an obsessive YouTuber. Like, I don't really watch TV anymore. I watch YouTube basically every night, and I watch like really weird, like niche community stuff. I got really into YouTube videos about people that build ponds to swim in their backyard, which I just found like super fascinating.
The YouTube hole, like at 3 a.m., like after like 8 hours, you're like, how did I end up on this? Is an extraordinary like phenomenon.
Yeah, I think a huge gap is the NFT space on YouTube. Like, I don't think anyone's really nailed NFT YouTube content yet. I think there's a huge education gap on like projects and like what to do. I think we're not there. Like everyone
Right.
tells me it's so hard to figure out what to do in this space. And
It's
yeah,
almost hard from like, so my perspective originally was, hey, I'm just gonna make videos and that's it. And then it's kind of turned into, all right, let's start a company, let's do X, Y, and
yeah,
Z. And like I never thought I would get to that point. And now it's almost to the point where like, okay, I have all this other stuff that's happening, projects, collaborations, talking to people on how to like start their NFT project. And if I were gonna just make videos, like that is a full-time job on its own. And it actually
totally.
requires, I think, like to actually produce what you need a team of about and don't ask me why I know this exact number, but you probably need about 15 people to produce the amount of content that would satisfy the people that want it.
Yeah, it's about learning the algorithm. Like we did a ton of research at Activision, and we were like, you have to learn how to show up in the recommended videos. Like people, yes, you don't really ever search on YouTube if you're a
You
massive. Like,
don't.
yeah, maybe you do, but you just are like, oh, this came up, this came up, this came up. And figuring out how to create content and targeting, like if you're making NFT content, are you targeting crypto users? Are you targeting traditional art people? Like you have to even think about the types of people you're trying to target before you make the content, and building content with the titles of the content, the thumbnails, all of that stuff directed towards the people you're trying to
What would be
reach.
your suggestion for creators in the space then? Like to
On
customize the
YouTube,
thumbnails, to like worry about the actual description.
it's hilarious looking at gaming ones because everyone's like, like that, like doing that face. It's like, oh my god, like Call of Duty did what?
Oh
And
yeah.
like, like it's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it makes like, if you're doing a Meebit one, you probably want a photo of a Meebit. You maybe want like a bar graph going way up to make it look like you're making money on it. And then the title or something needs to be like how to flip Meebits to make money in 10 minutes. Like that's the clickbait. That's like the clickbait crypto video right there, which I know you're not making, right? But it's like you
You're
have to
like
have.
you're leading me to the water though. You're like, Hunter, do this please. Like,
Yeah,
and
well, it's like how
I've
you.
thought about doing it, but like I don't know if it's my brand and whatnot.
No, no,
But
no, no. But I'm saying like you have to think about how all those pieces play together to get someone to click. If you're like today's Meebit update, people are like, all right, like the
I'm
biggest
noticing that.
sale
I'm
ever on
noticing that on
Meebit.
my videos.
Yeah, maybe like the biggest sale of the last 3 weeks on Meebit. Oh wow, okay, I want to know what that was. And then you put it 3/4 of the way through your video. So somebody watches the first 3/4, which is, I know it's terrible, but
Right. Yeah, I was like, I'm just pulling up videos on my analytics on YouTube right now, and like the crazy thing is like 34% of my views come from YouTube recommendations,
yeah, I
which
mean,
is
that's great.
wild to me.
Well, it's great because the more that your views come from recommendations, the more you'll be put in the recommendations
Oh,
because
that's interesting.
YouTube realizes like people want your content.
I love that. Oh, that's exciting to know. What is, I guess, and then you have such a branding background. What is your recommendation to projects that are creating and creators in the space for NFT projects? What do you think they should be doing to succeed right now?
People or projects?
I think both. Like if we look at somebody like Jake Osman, who's a person who kind of like is his own project, like what should he
Hmm.
be doing to get more recognition, more sales, or have his products or his pieces valued more? And then I guess it is a little bit different if you're like a profile photo making
Yeah.
10,000 avatars.
I mean, for a project, I would say is being unique. I would say the biggest gap, and I'm like ready to invest or get on board with anyone, is like there's no good anime projects, as an example. Like everyone's done 500 profile photos, but like there's no good anime project. People love anime. Like I love anime, but there's no good anime project. Yes, there's
Right.
like 500 derivative Bored Ape projects, but like it's easy to just do another thing of that. It's harder to be different. And so that would be number one. Number two would be like you have to look at a different model. Like everyone's sick of roadmaps. Everyone's sick of, like every single project has a roadmap. Donates. It's great that you're donating 10% to something. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. But you have to pique people's interest and be different. And that would be my first. And then like marketing and pushing your innovation to people. because that's what stands out and see a change. That's why I liked like even Boss Logic's project. I'm like, oh, it's interesting. Like it's a gauntlet. It's different.
Right.
So that would be, and like, yes, everyone's going to run a giveaway on Twitter, give one away or whatever. Everyone's going to desperately hope Ja Rule or Mike Tyson retweets them. But it's become really formulaic. And the reason projects do well is when they're different. And so that would be my push there. And for a person, people want to feel like they're connected to you. Like
100%. Could not agree more.
Yeah, like Twin Flames is a good example, right? It's like feel like that there's a Discord for the community, like you feel part of it. Like when you buy photography or you buy art, you're buying the person just as much. Like I have a piece of art up in my or photo up in my bedroom that a friend took as a photographer, and before I bought it, he told me, he's like, it's someone in the ocean and taking a photo of the jungle, and he was like, yeah, I drank a couple of Modelo's and then I went into the ocean with my camera and took this photo. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like something I would do. Drink Modelo's, go in the ocean and tropics. And like, so I think about the person behind the camera every time I look at that photo as much as the photo. So, anyone can buy a photo of the ocean, but it's what you're buying, the community you're buying into that people care about. So
did you listen to the Kath interview I did? Because this is like verbatim what we discussed. The entire interview was like,
really?
Yeah, we were like, you can show me 2 photos that are of the same mountain. But if you tell me one person was like, yeah, I got dropped off on the top of a helicopter, took the photo and went back to Starbucks. And the other person's like, yeah, I hiked up this mountain, like had to fight a bear, like lost an arm and then took this photo. I'm like, all right, I want that photo because the story of how it happened is so much better. And like that person's a badass. It's about connecting and understanding, having emotion to a specific piece.
Yeah, and I like how even in photography, I like when there's some innovation in it too. Like there's some motion in it, or like I agree with you 100%. So
right,
yeah, it like I love that everyone uses Twitter to market their NFT projects, but like I'm looking for like stuff that feels a little bit different, or at least like make a video, like make some marketing that
right.
feels like you
nobody makes
care a lot.
videos. Like
I know, isn't that weird?
It's
I noticed
weird
that too.
The only person who's made a video is Gary Vee, and he killed. I mean, obviously he made a video and he killed it, but like, I look at that and I'm like, please, for the love of God. And when I launch my projects, like I have videos lined up, like if you just do that, people will look and be like, wow, that's high effort. Like that looks really good. Like I get a good vibe from this because it's not just here's my roadmap. Here's, 3 paragraphs of what we're going to do by the project.
Yeah. Also, why it's weird that like Top Shot, let's say, was the first scale popular NFT project. I mean, I know we can all debate that. And then we've never had like a video or GIF NFT project since at scale. Like why don't I see like NFT projects that are like Fluff, I guess, is an example. Like, why aren't there more just like generative GIF projects? I know they're probably difficult to do. But,
so, I mean, there are GIF projects, but I'd say the reason we don't see more video and more like really, really heavy like CGI animated pieces is because it takes a lot of work. It's effort.
Yeah.
Like it kind of comes down to like most of the people in the space who can create these projects are looking at how do I make 1,000 ETH over the next 6 months? And they're not going to be like, okay, I'm going to make like a really, really high quality project and do 1. They're like, let me do 5 and just see how much ETH I can bring in. And I think the tide's going to turn. And when we have a bear market, that is when I'm like, the bear market is when the highest quality NFTs will come out, because if people who don't care about the money, only want to create, only want to build good stuff, are going to be like, hey, I don't care like what the price of ETH is, or if nobody's buying, like I'm just going to create. And if you like it, cool, you bought it. I just want to make stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, I just, I was talking to someone, I was like, I want to see a generative GIF NFT project. And the person's like, that's a lot of effort. And I was like, yeah, yeah. But that's
cool. Like you're not talking like, I don't know if you've seen like Junkyard Dogs or like Robotos, where it's just like
Dream Loops. I've seen too. Yeah.
Like it's not just like one little. You want like something like Dream Loops, I guess.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. Like I want like, if I'm gonna put a screen in my house, I'd love to see something with some actual dope motion in it.
Probably. Right. I'm very bullish on anybody who does something that's like the art changes based on a real world condition or time. I think there is an art
Yeah,
block
that's
project
cool.
that does that, but like, I was thinking about doing a watch project where we design our own watch faces, and based on the time of the day, like the face changes to that. Um,
That's cool.
that's kind of
I
cool.
or I like the idea of like you upload your ape and then 2 weeks later you get a 10-second video with your ape in it as an NFT or something.
That's kind of cool. I
I like
like
the
that.
watching too. I'm into watches like you are.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of how we like I found a website that you can buy watches with ETH now, which is like
Dangerous.
danger. Yeah,
Dangerous.
Watchbox. And I was like, oh, and then you're like, it's like Rolex is only like 4 ETH. Like,
A
that's
Daytona
not
gets
much.
really cheap when you look at it in ETH. That's what I found out over the last couple of weeks. Or like like I was looking at Zeniths and I was like, shit, it's only like 3.5 ETH. That's not that bad. Like,
that's what I was saying. I was like, well, I could sell my Hearst and get like,
oh yeah,
Daytona.
you can get a big boy watch with a Hearst right now.
I know. And I'm like, wow, this is like a slippery slope. But I like that. Like when you think about like a Rolex company or a Nike company, they don't get any of secondary sales. And you're like, I sell a Jordan for $160 and it sells on the aftermarket immediately for 250, 300, and then it gets bought and sold on Coat and StockX and whatever. And I don't get any of that money. And you're like, that's a business opportunity which didn't really have a solution before, but you could say now if you sold a pair of Jordans as an NFT and then you could turn it in eventually for a physical pair, you all of a sudden have an opportunity to make, and you probably have to be like, great, we're taking 20%. They probably take like 20%, right? Or something.
Right.
But like, hey, now we're making that money. Like
exactly.
Rolex or something, everything's like $5,000 more over retail immediately. It's like they're missing out on $5,000. And there's a way for them to maybe get that money now.
Yeah. And I also think industries that have big rakes, like what was the one we were talking about? Like even like the music industry where like the rake by the labels or like by the streaming platforms is pretty high. Even like the app store, like those are ripe for disruption where you can go decentralized and the royalty, like there might still be a take there, but it's 2.5%, 5%. And it's going back to the creator.
Yeah. I mean, the reason, like, at least from my little understanding of the music industry, is because like the studios do all the marketing for you and they like manage everything for you yourself. But now with like how much easier it is to make your music anywhere, easier it is, you can promote it yourself, you can distribute it yourself. The necessities for the label are probably a lot less than they used to be.
Right. It's so true. So true. So I have to ask before, because I know we were just talking a minute ago about the Twitter development, and I had one big question I had to ask because, obviously Jack's been vocal on his thoughts on ETH, and I know he's a big fan of the Lightning network. Is Twitter planning, or is there any vision to ever integrate like Web 3.0 into it? Are they thinking about it? Is there even a discussion of it?
That I definitely cannot comment on.
Okay. I had to ask because if I didn't ask, I'd feel like a dumbass. But
cool. No, that's cool. I don't. I can't comment on that. I mean, I don't know. I know what I'm like. I'm working at the next 3 to 6 months on products, and I can't say. I mean, me not saying doesn't mean yes. Me not saying doesn't mean no. Me not saying means I can't say.
Right.
Like, I can't be quoted on whatever. So I don't know. I can't comment on that. Sorry to disappoint you.
No, you're not disappointing me. Like, just I had to get that out there. I had to ask.
But look, I love working at a company where our CEO like cares about the space, right? Like,
well, you guys did the Twitter 140 project with the NFTs, caught everybody by storm, like literally took over Twitter for like 48 hours with this project.
That's crazy. I heard about it before I'd started. And my boss was like, so we're doing this NFT thing. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, what is it? And it was still in the works. And I was like, I was like, well, who gets one? They're like, well, we're going to give it away to people. And I was like, okay. Because I knew, I was like, well, I'm starting there in like 3 weeks. And I'm like, can you guys like do it before I start, because I wanted to get one. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. So yeah, obviously didn't get one because I was an employee. And there's no way, no promise I would have gone before. But yeah, it was really cool. I mean, like I didn't have a say in it, but I was super excited. I think the artwork was great. I thought it was really good. Bianca and Tina and the rest of the people that worked on it were great. Tina actually, she owns a Bored Ape. I was like, I got a Slack message like after I'd started. It's like, so you have a Bored Ape? So do I. I was like, what? There's someone else. Like, it was just awesome. Like another employee had one. So they did a great job with it. And like what I love about Twitter is that it's a collection of lots of different communities. And we saw how big of the NFT community has got on Twitter and wanted to do something cool for them, which I think we did. And we didn't take any money on it. We don't get a percentage on sales. I got a panicked message from OpenSea about, hey, you guys aren't set up to get a what do they call it, a license or
a royalty.
A royalty, yeah. It's like, you guys aren't set up to get a royalty. Like, you want us to help you set that up really quick? I was like, nope, we don't want a royalty on it.
So why did you guys do an NFT project? Like, what was the thesis behind it, or like the plan? Like, is it just to make an NFT?
I mean, it was before I was there, so I can't say why. But like I can say, like, a part of the reason was probably because like we like paying attention to cool communities. Like, they did an awesome thing for NBA Finals, like with an artist. So, it was just something cool we did, and Bianca and Fonz and Tina and that team would be able to give you that. So I don't want to speak for their projects and their work.
Right.
But it was dope. I was just excited as everyone else. It was hard because I was like, I want to be like, everyone's like, this is awesome. And I'm like, I had nothing to do with it. I have to tell everyone up front. And like, it wasn't my project.
I think it speaks really to the level that Twitter is thinking. And I know you probably can't comment, but like, I think it speaks to the fact that you guys made an NFT project, that you clearly are paying attention. You see that it's a thing. Like, you wouldn't make it if you're like, oh, this fad's going to come and go. Like, Twitter obviously had the internal discussions of like lawyers, attorneys, higher ups, and everybody was like, yeah, go for it. Like, we
at
see
Activision, the vision. At Activision, I was trying to do an NFT of like all the old school Call of Duty game, like cover art. I wanted to do like Modern Warfare 2 cover art NFT, like, and just like trying to explain to lawyers, trying to explain to everyone, like, there's a lot of like IP questions, like
huge IP questions.
Yeah, because companies are very protective of their IP, and if you're like, hey, I'm going to make this NFT and sell it on the blockchain, and the lawyer's like, wait a second, are you transferring ownership? Like, can we attach legal to every NFT? Like, there's just a lot of those questions. Like, and even like, well, what happens to the money? Like, if you make money and you're a corporation, how do we tax that? Like, right. How do we pay? What do we do with the ETH? Do we turn it into USD immediately? Like, so companies have lots of things they have to figure out like that. And it's hard. Like, I spoke at something the other day, and I was like, for big companies, figuring out how to get in the space is a lot. Like, do you put something on OpenSea? Do you put it on ETH? Do you put it on Dapper? Like, what platform do you trust? How do you integrate it into your own systems that you're like, great, you're doing a Call of Duty NFT.
It's a very complex question. Like, when you actually start to like actually try to execute or think it out with like depth to it.
Yeah, it's easy to just like go put like 10 Taco Bell tacos on OpenSea and be like, hey, you can turn this in and get a lifetime free tacos. It's hard to think about, how does a Nike NFT integrate into your POS system, point of sale system at a store? Like, that stuff is complicated and it's hard, and companies are behind, and which, and they don't have people at the companies that know this stuff really well.
Right.
So, it's going to take a long time to get people on board. And right now, honestly, besides Dapper, there's like no one a big company would trust to do a project. Like, realistically, like, Dapper has done it with Top Shot. They know how to handle big IP.
Right.
Who else can say that right now? Nobody.
Henny Group might be able to say that.
Henny, Oh yeah. Henny Group maybe, but then it's like great. You're buying into Palm, right? I guess you're like saying hey.
Yeah, and then there's like, but like the same thing with Dapper, like it's on Flow.
Right. Yeah, but at least I'd say Flow, you have a lot of history of tens of thousands of transactions.
Sure. Okay. I see what you're saying. Like there's history provenant, like it's been proven out over time.
It's proven out. You have, but like Henia doesn't have big IP. Like, yeah, it has Hearst, but it doesn't have like IP. Like you're not managing like the NBA or something
sure.
like that. But yeah, it's like great. Everyone can't be the NBA Top Shot. Like, you know, I think to me, the biggest question is when does Pokemon get involved? Because that's just going to blow everyone away. Like, how much ETH is like a Charizard going to go? Like,
oh, that's scary to think about that. Yeah, what happens when Pokemon gets evolved? Oh God, like, that's crazy.
If there's like, you know, how much the original Charizard goes for, like, I don't know how much now, 150, 200,000 or something?
Like 250,000 right now.
Right, but that's like chump change. If they're like, if they do packs and there's like only 100 NFT Series 1 Charizards, like,
it's gonna be wild. Like you're gonna see easy 100 floor, easy.
Like, and if they nail it in distribution and that you can still use that Charizard in a game, like that's like when your question earlier, what I'm most excited for, like the monster of traditional IP isn't in the space yet, besides Top Shot, NBA, right? Like,
well, I think if you look back to like what are people my age, your age, like what were they interested in when they were kids? Can you bring that back into the digital era as NFTs? Not only have it kind of like the same like nostalgic there, but like if you can monetize that and like, oh my God, there's so like much that's going to happen.
If Marvel really figured it out, if Pokemon really figured it out, like Harry Potter really figured it out, Star Wars really figured it out.
Oh my God, Star Wars hasn't even entered yet. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, great, we're all talking about pudgy penguins and like, you know, cool cats and whatever, but when like Star Wars is like, we're doing a 50,000 NFT project, like,
what are people going to pay to own like the rarest Darth Vader or a Yoda? Like, wild thoughts.
If they do it right.
If they do it right, and doing it right is like, it's like, oh, they just got to do it right then. But that's like, it is again super complex to do it right and not screw it up.
The problem is like the worry for me is they just do Top Shot and they're just like, we'll just make millions of packs, you know, and millions of Pokemon can do it because it's a game, it's a card game in itself, right? But and they have so much IP and so many Pokemon to pull from. But if you're Star Wars, you're like, great, we're gonna make Star Wars packs for $10 and do it forever. You're kind of like, I want a Yoda, like, you know, there's only 5 of.
They're gonna have to be creative, 100. And like that's kind of like when you say do it right, they're gonna have to be creative. They can't just go and say, all right, let's sell some NFTs. It's got to be like, here's the vision, the 40-year plan, why people are gonna want to own them, and then they're gonna have to build some tech. Like, it's not like it's just you know, list it and go for sale. They're gonna have to build some tech around it.
But what if it comes out of game instead, right? Like Pokemon. Let's say they never do packs, and the only way to get the NFTs is by doing stuff in the Pokemon games.
Or so like, now we're getting to. So I've been, you know, like I said, looking into the company and you know, that stuff. I'll share some insane alpha. Like, I'm targeting consumer packaged good companies super hard right now. And the ones I'm talking to, the conversation has gone from, hey, we want to sell. I'll just use a name. Okay, so I go to a chip company, and the chip company's like, hey, we have like Super Bowl commercials, we do this stuff, and like everybody loves our chips and they want to eat them. Like, we're gonna sell an NFT and it'll look like the chip, and everybody's gonna love it.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, that's not what you should be doing. You should be like, instead of just like shoving an NFT and like putting it on OpenSea and like, you know, you buy one, you get a bag of chips for free. It should be, you should gamify the buying of your chips. Use like drive people to retail. That is the entrance into the game, into owning the NFT. Do not just say, hey, you buy the NFT and now you're supporting the brand. Like, make your buyers or the people who want to own it go to your retail, introduce them, make them try new things, and then
Yeah.
turn your I guess customers into fans is what I'm saying. And that's, if you are thinking in that mentality as a brand right now, or a company or consumer packaged good, you will win long term.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, to summarize, like what we talked about a lot, it's like, it's not NFT as something, it's like something to NFT. It's your product.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like I got these cause figures right here, which I'm upset. I love cause. Like, so I have these cause, and I'm like, these are so awesome. It's like, because I own this, I want to get an NFT in a lot of ways. Like, I want to own this. What's really cool about these is they have an NFC in them. So like,
really, so they have a chip
my
in them.
phone. Yeah, I have to prove that they're authentic.
Oh wow.
So like in this backpack, there's an NFC chip. So if I click it, it sends to a website to show that it's authentic. And I'm like, hey, why can't that be? I tap it and I get the, a POAP or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
The NFT of it. I don't know. We'll see. One day.
That's crazy. What if having a blue check mark comes also with an NFT, so you can like show it in your wallet?
Yeah, your blue check.
NFT. I have to ask, how many times do you get asked on a daily basis to get verified?
I didn't realize, because I had some other friends that worked at Twitter, and they're like, good luck for people asking you about verification. And I was like, okay. Literally, like the day I announced that I was going to work at Twitter, my email and my LinkedIn blew up with requests. Like literally the day of, I was like, dude, I just started. I have no idea. And thankfully, I can say I have no insight or say in any verification for anything. And it's good. I don't want to, because it's just so easy to tell people I just don't know. And
right.
I really don't. And it's good that they keep it away. The other thing I'd say though about verification is like, a lot of people want verification, and like it wouldn't change anything for them. Like, I know it's great to have it, but like, for me, it doesn't really, it's great to have it because like
you're a figurehead for the company.
Stuff. But like, I mean, it's cool, but it doesn't change my life. I don't have it on Instagram, and like,
right.
I never apply for it because I just, I'm like,
it's kind of just a flex at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't do anything for you. It's just a flex and a social signaling way, like device.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some other stuff going around. We've announced around profiles though, which is interesting. Like being able to segment profiles differently. So like business being able to have a business profile, like bots being able to have bot profiles or whatever it may be. So
very cool.
Interesting work going on. Yeah,
that's crazy. Cool. Yeah, you guys like never cease to stop. Like, it's at least once a week I see something pop up around.
Oh my God, always something. We're pumping out stuff crazy. People on my team are working on,
I'm excited, man. I'm so bullish on Twitter.
Yeah, people on my team were like told me about the review thing today. I was like, oh, great. I didn't know that was happening today. And then like I saw a DM update thing today too. I was like, oh, this is great. Like we're just constantly. That's the thing, is like you see a lot more small stuff from us because we're like constantly iterating on things. And I don't just do the public fun stuff. I'm also doing like health and privacy stuff. So we're rolling out stuff constantly so people can feel safer on the platform as well, which I'm also really proud of.
It's exciting. Yeah. Quality of life on Twitter as an overall, just see improvement every day, which is good, because I think a lot of tech companies, they think about like, how can we drive more revenue? And what we've seen, at least from Twitter, has been, how can we make people happier on the platform, or at least bring value to the people using our platform?
I'll say we got a lot of people every day thinking about how to make it a safer platform for people, like 100%. People on my team, people on other people's teams, like we want people to feel safe to talk about whatever they want to talk about.
It's exciting. So I have two questions before we jump into kind of, I guess, like the closing stuff, because I know we've been talking for a while here. I got one question. You're a big sneaker guy. I'd love to hear what sneakers you've bought recently, what you got your eye on.
It's actually a good time for me to answer this question. So I got the Pollen Jordan 1s that I think showed up today. They're probably in the house waiting for me. I got the Jordan 4 Lightnings that haven't come out yet, but I got the sneakers kind of like exclusive access. So I just bought those. So I got those two, and they're both yellow. So I'll get a good Instagram shot probably for both of those.
Perfect.
I usually just buy Jordan 1s. Like I have like at this point maybe 30 to 35 pairs of Jordan 1s. I'm definitely a creature of habit. Like I like my Jordan 1s. I like my white Buck Mason t-shirts. I like my Page denim pants. And I like my Dodgers hat. Like that's like my outfit. And I just basically wear that all the time.
It's such a vibe.
I just am like when I was younger, there's a dude I worked with that wore jeans and a black t-shirt every single day to work, every single day. And I thought he was so weird. And I was like, what are you doing? Like always wearing the same thing. It's like kind of embarrassing for you or whatever. And like now I just like get it.
You get it.
Like, yeah, just like whatever. I like these pants. They fit me well. I have like three, 4 pairs of them. I like Jordan 1s. I like how they look with these pants. I got like 30 something pairs of them. I like these t-shirts. They fit me. I like white. And then I like Dodgers. I got like 5 different Dodger hats. And then I like 20 Dodger hats. And so
I'm moving slowly to that mentality of like, I have a black pair of jeans that I love. They fit me perfectly. And I've got a blue pair of jeans that fit me perfectly. And then I've got just plain t-shirts. And then the thing that like I change up besides like, cause I almost always wear black Vans outside of like either like Yeezys or like the other luxury shoes I have. The big thing that I mix it up on is hoodies. Like I'm a big hoodie guy. Like shoes, yes, like I'm big into them, but like I probably own well over I think I was actually counting. I think I said on Morning Mint I had like close to 50 hoodies. I think that's actually approaching triple digits at this point on how many hoodies I own.
God. I have what's it called? I have one hoodie that I love. I'm trying to remember the name of the company. I can't
Did you buy the Bored Ape Yacht Club hoodie?
I did, yeah. It hasn't come yet, but
are you gonna buy the hundreds hoodie?
No.
If they so you're not buying the hundreds.
How much Bored Ape merch do I need? I made my own hoodie. I should have wore it. I made my own hoodie with like embroidered my ape on it. Buying this hoodie, like I bought the t-shirt. Like how much Bored Ape? I mean, I love them. Don't get me wrong, but how much merch do I need from one place? Like I don't wear any of my own.
They might play it out. Like that's the thing I was telling other people is like it's great to see this collab, but like does it play out to it's like, okay, you've had so many merch collabs. It's like, all right, I already bought. Like,
yeah, what else do I need? Like, I don't need more. Like at this point, if they're gonna do something again, I want them to do like, hey, a piece of art for your house with your ape. Like I want something personalized. Look, I'm sure there's plenty of people that'll buy Bored Ape merch for the rest of the time. And maybe it's just I'm a bit older. But yeah, a couple hoodies is enough for me from somewhere.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
So I guess we can kind of slowly wrap this show up. I got a couple questions here that I ask most of the guests I have on. Yes. And you can just give us either a short answer or jump into it kind of in depth. What's your favorite project in the space recently that you've seen that you've been like, I fuck with that. I love it.
The like 0 and 1 Force thing. Like
really,
I love anime. Like they're gonna work on like a manga. Like I think the artwork's cool. It's high quality. It's different. The Discord's kind of weird. So I'm into that. So I'm buying. I bought 3 of them. So I like that right now. That's probably what I'm excited about.
And it's definitely got like eyes on it. It's got volume. Like I think it's number 18 right now on OpenSea. It's already done 1,600 ETH in volume traded. And I think the floor is at like 0.5. So it's not like crazy expensive. Like you can get into it.
It unveils tomorrow. So, based on how the artwork goes, it might go up a bit.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't really love Vogu, really. This wasn't for me. So, yeah, this one I kind of like. See how it goes. Maybe
I'll pick one up. We'll see. What was the last item you added to your wallet?
It was I found this old project. So I did some like Twitter searching, and I found this crypto bots project from 2018, January 2018.
Crypto bots?
Yeah, I found it. So I was like, Tropo sent me like some soccer project and from a while ago, and I was like, how do people find these? And so I was like, I used some of my Twitter search Google like foo, and I found this CryptoBots account, and I liked the artwork, and it's from like January 2018. It's verified on OpenSea, and I picked up 3 of them for like 0.05 because I was like, maybe people are gonna like refine this and think it's
Yeah,
dumb.
wow. Yeah, and the floor has since then, I think, gone up significantly, possibly.
I tweeted about it like last week. I was like, hey, I found
Oh, so
this.
it's
I think it's cool.
0.1 on the floor. But yeah, it is 4 years old. That's wild.
Yeah. And I was like, this is cool. So I grabbed it just to be like, oh, I think it's cool.
Super cool. Well, I might have to pick. You're. This is gonna be an expensive interview. I'm gonna like have like 5 things I want to pick up after it. Who is a must follow for you on, like, who do you follow, have noties on, you think everybody listening right now should give a follow if they're not on Twitter?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that DC investor guy.
Oh yeah, DC is an absolute legend.
Yeah, he's also the only person that I follow in the space that doesn't follow me back, so I feel like that means I really like him.
When people ask me, like, I think so when I started in Twitter, I had 150 followers like 4 months ago. And I was like, I had goals. I was like, the people I would love to follow me that would make me feel really special, I'd say every single one of them at this point follows me except for him. He is my grail. Like, when he follows me, I can actually, like, it doesn't matter if I have 20 million followers, like, I still will not have made it until DC follows me. That's when I can check the box and be like, I made it.
He also never responds to my tweets, but he tweets and Jack responds to him. So I'm like, oh, okay, got it. I'm not like,
you're not high enough. You're not high enough.
Yeah, so I say he's really good. I mean, I like people that are thinking critically and not just like going with the flow. And I like his point of view.
He is certainly somebody who 99.99% of the people could be saying one thing and he'll have his own opinion and go the other way. Like, it does not, he is not a herd follower at all.
Yeah.
Well, great answer. Okay, so the next question I have here is biggest lesson you've learned / wish you knew when you got into NFTs.
Biggest lesson I wish I knew was don't chase hype. Like if everyone's buying some project and you're like, oh my God, I better mint one because everyone else is doing it right now. Like you're going to get screwed. You're going to get pumped and dumped. Like you're getting dumped. Like that's what's happening. Like you're following the crowd, you're getting dumped on something. 100%. So I wish I knew that. Like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of times where I'm like, oh, I'm early on this. And then like, I'm like, no, I'm late.
Yeah. You got to definitely look at the activity chart on OpenSea to see if like, did it just 20x in volume over the last couple of days? Like,
and it's 20x. Well, now it's going to 40x. I'm like, no. So
my rule is if I see a down volume day after a big run up, I'm like, okay, don't touch it. Like, there's a 99.9% chance that like over the next 5 days, it's going to really pull back across the board.
Yeah, that's what I wish I knew. And and just like don't be hard on yourself when you make you sell and it doesn't go. As long as you make money, like as long as you sold for more, you can't kill yourself on it. You sold it for way more.
100%, totally agree.
Yeah.
I guess the last question, we've talked a little bit on it, but where do you see overall the Twitter space in like 3 to 5 years? Like, what do you think the like real future with, social media, DAOs, projects overall, and I guess like the broader like world, like the global use of NFTs in 3 to 5 years?
Oh my God. So I'll say global use NFTs and Twitter separately. Twitter, I see as like, I wanted to be the ecosystem for people to have conversations about what their interests are, what their community is, and be able to do that in lots of different ways. Like I said, whether through all of like spaces, setting up communities, super following people, all that. Like I wanted to be like a one-stop shop for people's interests and communities. It's my personal view, not the company's view.
Okay.
And then for NFTs, I want to see it integrated into like I want to stop calling it NFTs. Like I guess. Like it's just another tech. Like how often do we say like HTML these days? or
Oh
how
yeah,
often do
it's
we,
like, are you going to
you know,
visit that HTML web page? Like, no,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
How often we
website, and
say,
the technology behind it is HTML.
yeah, how often do we say www dot anymore or
Right.
whatever it is? Like, how often do we say cellular phone anymore? It's just like your iPhone.
That's a tweet
So
right
I
there.
think,
I'm bullish on NFTs because we call them NFTs.
yeah. So once we get out of calling them NFTs and we just are like, it's just another thing. And like, my dad's never gonna call an NFT an NFT. He's just gonna be like, oh yeah, I own the like digital version of this or something. And like everyone's gonna know what that means. They're not gonna be like, wait, you own the JPEG of it. They'll be like, oh, they'll understand. They'll be like, oh, you own the digital version of this art. Oh, okay, cool. Like you'll get it. You'll have an understanding of how to sell it, how to buy it, how to transfer it. That's where I think we're gonna get to. It's just gonna be another part of life, and it's not gonna be all those weird kids sitting around phones talking about Meebits and MetaMask and burning and all that. It's just gonna be another part of life, and hopefully it integrates into everywhere. And that's where I
It's
think we're gonna
normal.
find.
Yeah, I can't wait to be normal again.
It's like we're on the on ramp, right? Like this is the freeway's going, and NFTs are coming into the on ramp to all the other tech, and we're gonna like all move together eventually.
It's
It's just one of the
wild.
things to get there.
It's truly crazy to realize like where we are in the current landscape of technology.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
NFT technology specifically.
yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. That's why I like talking to you. It's like none of my friends that my IRL friends like know anything about any of this, so it's fun talking to you and talking to other people about it. And I can talk about it forever because my fiance is sick of hearing about it.
I think my family's like done with it, and they're like, go talk to your friends on Twitter.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Well, dude, thank you so much for spending the last hour or so with me chatting about
Yeah, of
NFTs
course.
and everything. And again, it means a ton that you took the time.
Of course.
If you guys want to follow Justin, his Twitter handle is at the Smarmy Bum. I actually need to ask you before we close this out. What is
Sure.
the genesis
Story.
to
So
that
I
name?
was setting up Twitter in like 2008, and Justin Taylor was taken. I now have Justin Taylor, but I've decided I can't switch over to Justin Taylor. It's the Smarty Bomb. And I was watching a video on College Humor, which is a really old prank website, and this guy was pranking his best friend into thinking he was auditioning for a TV show. And he told him he had to like make a video of all these different characters and he had to play them. And one of his characters he had to like play was a smarmy bum. And I was just like watching the video as I set up my Twitter. And I was like, oh, I wanted to set something up like that. If anyone ever Googled me, they'd only find me. That was like the idea. And
Right.
I was like, oh, the smarmy bum. Like that's such a like weird thing that if you Googled that, I'd be the only person you could find.
It's like the
And I thought like,
XKCD version.
yeah, when I was like 25 or however, whenever I set it up, I was like, oh, it kind of fits my personality. It's like a fun juxtaposition of like a bum and someone smarmy. So here it is. Now I'm like an adult working at Twitter, stuck with the smarmy bum as my Twitter handle.
Exactly. And you also told me the last time we were in person together, this is the first time you've ever changed since the creation
Yeah,
of your Twitter, your profile photo.
yeah. It's kind of weird because I miss my old one because my old one is like a photo of me, a cartoon photo of me wearing a sailor hat, and I've had it for 15 years or whatever. And I knew I had to change it to like be like legitimate in the space. But that's why I got the Bored Ape with the sailor hat.
With the sailor hat.
Yeah, so at least like felt similar. And people that like just know me are like, oh, that like fits you because they
It
know
does.
like the sailor hat's my thing. I bought a cool cat though, and I didn't buy a cool cat with the hat, which is a total f up by me. But yeah, that's the story.
It's so cool. So cool. Well, everybody, again, if you want to follow Justin, it's at the Swarmy Bum. He's always open to feedback. Send him a tweet. He'll usually tweet back at you. And he's very active on Twitter, obviously.
Obviously.
Justin, thank you again so much for the time,
Course,
and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, no problem.